BLG. What is up, man?
How's it going, Johnny Marks?
Well, I had a caller 15 minutes ago say that they should bench Jalen Hurts for Tanner McKee, so that's how it's going. This morning, we're egging Kevin Patullo's house. There's a PennDOT sign down at the link. Fire Kevin Patullo. Everything's fine. We're handling this very well, BLG.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the Eagles won the Super Bowl earlier in this very year, right? I mean, that didn't happen, right? I mean, but obviously at the same time, it is a very frustrating time.
All right, so why are the Eagles, in your opinion, why are the Eagles not making a change at offensive coordinator, or not even offensive coordinator? Why are they not switching things up as far as the play caller?
I mean, are they? Definitely not, I guess, is kind of my question, considering that we've seen Nick Sirianni talk in the past. You know, you go back to when Sean Desai, was demoted effectively. It's not like Nick Sirianni came out and said that. We kind of learned it from national reporters later on. So, that's something to kind of keep an eye on this weekend and even maybe going into Monday night when the Eagles play next. So that's something I would look out for. But I think the other part of it is that, this is Nick Sirianni's guy. That he installed at offensive coordinator, and despite their struggle this year, seems to have a lot of faith in him, and would also seem to indicate that they don't think it's the play calling as much as it might be the players or the execution.
Aha! Exactly. So, exit, and that's all code for they think it's the quarterback, right? Diana Rossini, Derek Gunn, some other whispers that certainly A.J. Brown, we have Devontae Smith yelling after he scores a touchdown. They're saying, all right, maybe Kevin Patullo, we can do a better job, and I would have to look at also Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. I mean, they have to get involved at some point if they think it's the offensive coordinator and Nick Sirianni's being too loyal. But inside Novacare, are they saying, everybody can blame Kevin Patullo, but if the quarterback makes throws and executes the offense the way that it's being drawn up and designed, we're not having this conversation.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, that's not the first lever you're going to flip, obviously, when you're talking about the reigning Super Bowl MVP here. So I do think something needs to change, to be clear, when we're talking about should versus will, because, let's face it, and this is honestly how I felt after the Lions game. The game they won a couple weeks ago, but just the offense looking so broken and scoring a touchdown in just each of their games coming out of the bye week. This is clearly not stay the course territory. Like, you have to do something to change it up here. But ultimately, for now, we're not seeing evidence that they will. I do think you can, look at the Bears game, and there are certain plays there where there are plays to be made that the quarterback did not make. At the same time, the offense, I will not say, does not look crisp by any means, and does not look well coordinated. So, the reality is there's a lot of blame here. And even if it's not just Kevin Patullo, which I don't think it's just Kevin Patullo, and I think a lot of it is actually the head coach as well, I think at some point you just have to try to change a variable in this equation.
Could that variable be, as Nick Foles suggested, and we actually had a caller last week that called in and said, why not put Kevin Patullo up in the booth? It changes some things up. It gives him a different perspective. He's seeing the field differently. You think that's something they could possibly do?
Yeah, I think that's, to me, it's naive in terms of that was the missing link. Like, all along, you just need to physically move his position, but it does seem like, why not try it? We're in the stage of it's just, give it a try. Maybe that does help here. I think that coming from Nick Foles is interesting. Foles seemed to be under the impression that he was doing that before, which he really wasn't. So, I don't know, how that factors in. I'm not trying to take a shot at Nick. It just, he mentioned that, he used to be. I don't think that's the case. He used to be on the sideline. But yeah, why not? Why not move him up to the booth and see how that works?
So why not Nick Sirianni? I was saying this earlier. It's not unusual. You don't have to fire an offensive coordinator to say, hey, let me try calling plays. Andy Reid will hand off play calling duties to his offensive coordinator, not because he's struggling, but because he does that sometimes. We saw Dan Campbell take over play calling responsibilities. We saw Kevin Stefanski. He has given away play calling. This does happen from time to time in the NFL. Why would Nick not want to do it? And why do you think that Nick hasn't? He didn't do it with Brian Johnson. It doesn't seem like he's primed to do it right now. Why do you think that's not the case?
Well, he was really bad at it, at least results-wise, early in his Eagles tenure. That's the truth in terms of having to hand it off. But I do agree that it seems like that could be worth a try. Also, just from a standpoint of, I mean, if you are Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, like, okay, Nick, like, you got us into this mess. Now, like, you fix it. You know, let's see some answers here. Let's provide some solutions. I think part of the reason you don't see that is because maybe it doesn't change a lot. Because ultimately, for as much as everyone wants to get mad at Kevin Patullo, and again, I think it's more than fair to criticize him. Obviously, don't go egg his house. That is, you know, stupid and pathetic. But, you know, I fair to get frustrated with him. But people talk about play calling so much, and I really don't think that's the only issue. I think the design of this offense is a major issue as well. A lot of that goes back to the head coach.
Yeah, you're right. A lot's made of Jalen Hurts, and every year he seems to have a different offensive coordinator. But what have we seen out of the offensive coordinators? Outside of what you mentioned, remember Nick Sirianni when he was calling plays, very pass-heavy, and that didn't work. But since then, every offensive coordinator that they've had, they seem like they don't want to throw the ball more than 30 times. I mean, isn't the team telling you everything that you need to know about Jalen Hurts, which is, hey, he's obviously a Super Bowl MVP, and he's been a great player in this league. But the key to making this offense work is not by throwing the ball so much; it's by having a run-heavy offense, right?
I mean, that clearly was the formula last year. You know, they were pass-heavy in the first 4 games early last season, where they went 2-2, and then they really shifted at the bye week, and they were able to run the ball to great success. That obviously cannot be the same formula for this year's team, just in terms of they cannot run the ball effectively. I do think that, now, as much as I don't think you want Jalen Hurts necessarily being this, you know, super high volume passer, but you do have, I think there's room to not have him do that, but still trust him more. And
right.
Maybe it's about taking more shots down the field, like kind of like we saw in the Vikings game. I mean, he had a perfect passer rating in that game. He looked great. He didn't have like 40 dropbacks or whatever. I think he only had 23 something attempts like that in that game. But they let him do one of his best things that he can actually do and push the ball down the field, and had a lot of success against that. Had a lot of success, or the only success really, against the Bears when he's taking a deep shot to A.J. Brown. So, you know, it seems like it would help serve them a little bit better if they were just a little bit more aggressive in the passing game.
Brandon Lee Gowton, Bleeding Green Nation, great coverage. You should check out everything that they do. Watching the game against the Bears on Friday, I was having flashbacks to 2023. And I know it's easy to say that based on it happening 2 years ago, but one thing in particular that reminded me was just kind of how the team came out, and it was, I mean, really it was later on with the defense, but it seems like that with all the noise that's going on right now, and I'm pretty sure the same thing was happening internally in 2023, this team, they almost seem exhausted with everything from the Patullo stuff and the Jalen Hurts stuff and A.J. Brown and everything else. I know you try to block out all the noise. Doesn't mean you can necessarily block out all the noise. It is very loud in Philadelphia right now. Like, what's the explanation for the performance in your eyes coming out and more or less getting blown off the ball in the second half against the Bears?
Yeah, I mean, there's a level of want to, and certainly more often than not we have seen that this year. I would say that's not an issue every single week. Throughout the course of the season, like the Giants game, the first one, that was a big issue. We saw that. But, you know, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I mean, this team looks joyless, right? I mean, who's having fun out there? And that's even when they were winning. That's not just like, okay, they're losing now and they're sad because they're losing. I mean, that was apparent. And that was also a big theme back in 2023.
Yep.
The quote, I believe at the time, was like, they're the most miserable 10-1 team in NFL history. Something to that effect from inside the building was saying that. And that's kind of just where they are. I think there's obviously the weight of expectations, having won the Super Bowl. But more than that, I mean, if we're going to credit Nick Sirianni, and at times the culture has looked really good in Philadelphia, but when we're looking at it now, and everyone's miserable, and the energy is down, and the vibes are horrendous, I mean, again, that I look at him when it comes to that.
Yep. We need Garrett Stubbs. Sign him to the practice squad. Chief vibe officer of the Eagles, BLG.
Thanks for watching Middays with Marks. Like and subscribe right here. If you like and subscribe, you probably are loving what you're watching. There's more of it right here. Check it out.